Hello and welcome to Dharma with Kai. I'm your host, Kylie, and this podcast is verified. Quick disclaimer: the stories that I share with you during this cast are not sharing any confidential information, or does it identify a person's identity. I am concluding the series on criminology, narcissistic relationships, and healing. Healing is so difficult to do, and it is by any means not in a linear process. Upholding healing that is personalized to myself and my intuitive nature to sense the future state of life is a strength of mine. And with the holiday season coming up, it is a really tough time for some individuals who are going through narcissistic relationships. Um, it's really difficult for them. And often, they do have, issues, or they have had some criminology encounters, or they're looking how to better like protect themselves in a safe way so that they don't enter into these dynamically reactive relationships and cause any more destruction within their life and their healing process. So I would say that it takes more than listening to any information or reading about narcissistic relationships. Either you like toxic relationships, or once you get fed up with them, you don't. So it's really about deciding whether, that is something that you thrive or feed off of. And for me, I just knew that it was exhausting. So I can give you some strategies and tools about how to get from these narcissistic relationships. However, as a practitioner, I have to even admit that I am pretty much narcissistically um, talked out. And so I am really having to go ahead and set some boundaries as to what I won't accept and what I am willing to kind of negotiate. And other than that, you have to accept that and be able to move on. And what makes this path to claiming yourself and going through this process by yourself and telling your story is that you don't want your truth or your credibility to get altered from spending so much time trying to, you know, make people believe your side of dealing with the narcissist. I declared to myself that I would not ever allow anyone to narrate or control my life, because life is not something that you should have to participate in. You only have one life to live. And unless you pay someone to act as you should want to go ahead and live it. You can't allow people to keep pulling you into their trauma. And that's why I said it in my previous podcast that you have to sacrificially and intentionally go through these things in your life alone. You know your story, and you know what is the truth. And it says that no matter what, and this refers to Oprah's book, What Happened to You, we can't get into this displacent kind of fallacy that even though we have had something happen to us, that we're all supposed to just get the same result from going out in the world and saying what happened verbatim. That is, it takes way more than that. And so with therapy and healing and trauma and making sure that you're following what is your best course is the only thing that is going to start to allow you to see a light at the end of the tunnel as opposed to a dark hole. I have always tried to give a variation of options to stay in my life. However, I didn't need anyone in my life anymore that was kind of engaging in any kind of communication or enabling of the narcissist. I was very stern on this decision because they were making life avoidant and a package experience of life that obviously made it difficult for everyone around is damaging. And you never want to have a false illusion of what a relationship is supposed to even look like. And this is, it doesn't matter if it's a professional or a personal relationship, because all in all, if you treat someone in your work setting a particular way, you're typically going to behave that same way at home. They don't usually and the relationships that I went ahead and ceased is that they didn't know how to um, admit the false alities of these relationships, or how to authentically admit to their wrongs, or that they were unable to relate to the experiences or traumas that I was healing from. And that is also another reason why I don't accept clients anymore, and I don't recommend support groups, because you can't organize or appropriately plan a consistent plan that fits what you're needing to resolve. You have to learn how to relate to yourself, and that means any form of relationship that you have in your life. The greatest thing about today is that you get to narrate your story without the pressures imposed from others. And with criminology and healing from these narcissistic relationships, it is the ever most important to understand that after all is done, you won't ever relate to many that you did revolve your life around. And you shouldn't want to, because they cause damage to you. The greatest lesson in all of this is that we can attempt to mold others to fit into our lives, or point out others who create problems. However, if these problems aren't addressed with an authenticity, we are no better than our predecessors, hierarchies, or and whatever else others may call them. And that is why it's important not to get too caught up on imagery of what other races or cultures have to endure with the complexities of their own ecology. I am intentional about breaking from these generational perplexes. And yes, I have standards, and everyone should have some. There are no excuses when it comes to race, age, or gender. And that is where many influencers, therapists, and just everyday people have this wrong. I am so excited that I have, gotten to do this work outside of my work, which led me to create Dharma with Kai. And what makes this path so liberating is just taking a chance on myself instead of, waiting in line to go ahead and breathe and voice what is one of my ultimate goals in life, and that is to only live as the best version, because I am the only version. You have to get there with yourself. You can't ever allow anyone to narrate or label you something that you're not. And also, never try so hard to fit in with anything that isn't conducive to you and your healing. I'm going to continue to share my vision on Dharma. I did really enjoy my criminology, narcissistic relationships, and healing. However, I'm one that was really intentional about going through this process. And with talking about narcissistic relationships, I'm aware of the people in my life that are no longer welcomed. And it really, the only struggling factor of that is the environment, and other people that want an explanation as to why. And really, they don't deserve an explanation. They can, you know, go ahead and live in destruction and trauma with the narcissist. And that's not ever, you never want to provoke anyone with calling them a narcissist. So, the best thing to do, and this is how I handle things, the best thing to do is just to go through your own routines with healing, instead of trying to provoke or get anyone else involved. So, yes, I understand that, gossip and talking with others is it helps you vent. However, for me, where I'm at in my life and my journey, it just wasn't helping anything at all. I'm still healing and working through areas of my life, growing and evolving into the version of myself that I should have had the discretion to do as an individual years ago. I am about done with this episode. And like I said, it has been amazing. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving and protect your peace as always. And adios.